back again on the Mercedes-Benz Vance phone line, Mike Florio. How you doing, Mike?
Rich, doing great, buddy. How are you?
I am doing great. Let's jump right into it with both feet. How did the, best you can tell, the resolution between the League Players Association and Deshaun Watson come out?
Well, it was a week ago right now that I was anticipating that appeals officer Peter Harvey would potentially drop the hammer on a full-year suspension, keeping Deshaun Watson from playing last Friday night in Jacksonville in the preseason opener. And it was right around this time, maybe an hour or two from now, that someone said to me, hey, they're talking settlement. Peter Harvey isn't going to rule, doesn't want to rule until the two sides have had a chance to work this out. And that was the first tangible sense we had that even at a time when the NFL had everything it needed, it had exactly the ammunition from Judge Robinson's ruling to impose whatever suspension it wanted to impose, that was when we backed off from thinking that a suspension was coming, something more than 6 games, much more than 6 games, and then it trickled into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, along the way, we had the Friday night interview of Deshaun Watson with Aditi Kinkhabwala from the team hotel in Jacksonville, where he apologized to the women he impacted with his behavior, and it felt like an effort to throw an olive branch to the NFL to show that he was ready to concede. He was ready to accept responsibility. He was abandoning the talking points of I didn't harass anyone, I didn't disrespect anyone, I didn't assault anyone, and his lawyer saying all along that all the women who were accusing him of wrongdoing were lying, that they were backing off from that in the hopes of reaching some sort of an agreement so that he wouldn't be out for the entire year. And as the week went on, they finally got to a point where they found an acceptable middle ground. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about how they got to 11. I think it's very simple. The union was dug in at 10. The league was dug in at 12. And it's not like you can negotiate half of games. It's not like he shows up third quarter of the Week 13 game against the Texans. I mean, you just have to pick a number. And they settled on 11. And I think he acknowledged yesterday, and his willingness to pay the fine was part of the way to get him back on the field more quickly. Higher fine, less games. More games, lower fine. He was willing to pay basically half of what he made last year by not playing to get back after 11 games. So I think it was that simple. And for whatever reason, the league didn't want to issue a ruling, didn't want to invite a federal court battle, just wanted it to be over and move on.
So this is not my first rodeo, nor it is yours, sir. So normally when this happens, when the league and a player come to a settlement like this and the league gets sterner discipline than originally scheduled or announced, the player involved must admit wrongdoing, must say something along the lines of, I am sorry for what I did. I will address it. I will come back a better person, and I accept what I did. And Watson did accept responsibility in a written statement and did say he's going to come back a better person in a written statement and did say the exact opposite when a live microphone was put in front of him mere minutes later. What does the league do about that, do you think, Mike?
That's a great question. And for now, the league has said nothing about it. I would suspect that there were some 4-letter words uttered at 345 Park Avenue yesterday.
Not Park?
Frankly.
Not Park? Although it could have ended in a K.
Not Park, not the address.
Right.
K still involved is the last letter, but that's about it. I can't imagine they're happy with this. And, you know, I've seen people push the notion on behalf of Deshaun Watson's representatives that this is like any other settlement. Nobody admits to wrongdoing in a settlement. Well, this isn't your standard civil settlement. Your standard civil settlement doesn't include an obligation to have an evaluation and treatment. How in the world is evaluation and treatment going to mean anything to Deshaun Watson? I've been trying to play out how this looks. He shows up for the evaluation, and he says, I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I even here? Treatment? What do you treat me for? I stand on my innocence. I don't need any treatment. I don't know how you even begin to comply with that aspect of this agreement if he refuses to abandon the notion that he did nothing wrong. And that's very troubling to me. And look, I'm all for people getting second chances, but you got to want your second chance. You got to acknowledge that you screwed up your first chance to qualify for a second chance. He's still stuck on, I didn't do anything. Well, then why did he agree to it? He agreed to it because he knew he was in checkmate, and this was his only way out. I just wonder if that's what the NFL anticipated when they agreed to this, and if they knew before yesterday at noon that this is how he was going to deal with it, would they have just pulled the offer, imposed the suspension, and told him, feel free if you want to continue to profess your innocence. We've found that you're not innocent. Judge Robinson, and that's what's weird about this, Rich. The union wanted the league to accept Judge Robinson's ruling. She found that he did it. She found that he did it. So how can they reject that now? That's what's amazing to me.
So can they up his suspension at some point? Like, is it possible that, you come on this show late October, early November, and I ask you, what's the update on this? And you're like, your sources say therapy didn't go very well and the league's thinking of keeping him out longer. I mean, is that possible? Can that happen?
I think it is possible, and that's something that your guy Shefty, my guy too, tweeted yesterday,
yes,
that if he doesn't comply, he doesn't get reinstated. He's got to comply. And will we ever know? I don't know. When he comes back, press conference, Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, who was very quick to pounce on his failure to accept responsibility yesterday, great follow-up question from her. She's at the press conference. I think one of the first questions she asks is, do you still stand on your innocence after going through evaluation and treatment? Do you still stand on your innocence? And if he says yes, what was it all for? What was the point of it? And it will imply at that point pretty clearly the league didn't care. The league just wanted to get this over with, get him back on the field, and move forward. And if when he does come back instead and he's asked that question, he says, I regret what I said. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how to interact with others, and I'm now equipped with the tools to avoid these kinds of problems in the future, then it worked. So that'll be the ultimate litmus test. Well, and the one litmus test before that is, does he even come back? Do they allow him to come back? And if they mean what they say and he fails to accept responsibility and thus gets nothing out of evaluation and treatment, why would he be back at all? So this story isn't over yet, Rich, and it's entirely possible we get to December and we find out that the league has not agreed to reinstate Deshaun Watson. I don't know what happens at that point. I don't know what standing the union would have to create a federal case literally out of it, but it would probably be backed up by some records from whoever they hire to do this evaluation and treatment that it was pointless because he just sat there over and over again saying, I never harassed anyone, I never assaulted anyone, I never disrespected anyone.
Yeah, I guess it depends on whatever the appointed Dr. Melfi has to say, I mean, we have no idea that's down the road. Is it possible, last one for you on the subject matter?
You went Dr. Melfi?
I did. I went a little Sopranos. I went a little Sopranos on you. Put your legal hat on here, counselor. Is it possible he still has some sort of exposure? He's been told he's had some sort of, I guess it's the wrong word, that he has some sort of legal problem if he accepts responsibility through his verbal response yesterday, because there's one last lawsuit hanging out there. Is that possible?
That's the case. Hey, Rich, if that's the case, great point. Excellent observation, because he still has one case left, and anything you say can and will be used against you. The admissions of a party opponent are always admissible in court. It's not hearsay if it's said by the person who's either doing the suing or who has been sued. Excellent point. Then just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. Why are you saying anything? See, they're trying to thread this needle where he says enough to placate the NFL and get them to do the settlement, but then he reserves the right to say I didn't do anything. There was no reason to talk yesterday, and I'm not entirely sure the Browns knew he was going to say what he said when they put him in front of a microphone, but sometimes the best PR is no PR. Why not just let the press release and the statement that was tweeted by the Browns from Deshaun Watson, why not let that stand? And let's see how it goes over. Let's see if people are clamoring. We need to hear from Deshaun Watson. Maybe we wouldn't have said we need to hear from him. Maybe we would have understood there's a reason why he's not talking. Instead, they put him out there and Andrew Berry, the GM, and the Haslams. And I just think that whole exercise made everyone look worse, made the situation worse, and it would have been far better to just say nothing and rely on the written document.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's your thoughts on what's happening with Tom Brady in Tampa and his absence there, Mike?
I'm conflicted about this, Rich, because on one hand, I want to respect the fact that there's apparently some real personal issue that is causing him to be on this hiatus that is now at 8 days with no definite end in sight. Todd Bowles yesterday, and I feel bad for him. He's caught in the middle of this, and he can't commit to a day when Tom Brady's going to come back. It's just strange. Everything about Tom Brady right now is unprecedented. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's 45 years old. He's a starting quarterback. He had over 5,000 passing yards last year. He's as good as ever. He's deeper into his life than any high-end quarterback has ever been. His family's getting to the point where he's got a kid in high school. Like, he's juggling all sorts of stuff. But I balance the idea that he's entitled to his privacy with the fact that he lives a very public life. He embraces his public life. He actively utilizes social media to capitalize on that publicity and sell crypto and underwear and anything else he's pushing at any given moment. And he's become more and more active in leaning into a public life. How do you just ghost everyone for a week and a half? Why not post something on social media? Just to give people an idea, because the curiosity continues to get more and more out of control. It is a situation that invites speculation because we don't know what's happening. Speaking of bad PR, the Buccaneers have bungled this thing from the get-go. They have done Brady no favors with how they've handled it, and now we just sit back and wait and see if he shows up next week. So it's a weird situation, and it leads to mass singer conspiracy
That's so
theories.
stupid. That's how, believe it or not.
The vacuum has to be filled with something.
Right. I actually started my show with that because to me it's just so off the charts ridiculous that Brady, even if it was contractually obligated for him to do it because that Fox contract he signed to basically say, yeah, I'm in training camp, guys. You understand. So that'll be it. Go find somebody else. Go find Tom Jones. Go find another Tom. I know I'm really dating myself just there. But Marcia Brady, go find another Brady. Go find somebody else. I mean, it makes no sense that he would do that. But, I guess with each passing day that we're filling the void comes the concept of, I guess somebody other than Brady, Kyle Trask starting game one against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I don't see that happening unless the personal reason is so significant that it lingers that long. Then I hope that everybody's healthy, that's the way you got to go.
Our friend Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times reported over the weekend that It's not a health issue. And this whole idea that it's a pre-planned absence for personal reasons with no firm date for returning, like what in the world could it be? Would it be? And is there reason to think he's not going to be back for week one? I don't think so yet.
Right.
But who knows? And, hey, Rich, for the same reason that if Kyler Murray doesn't play well this year, we're all going to say, he's not studying, man. Maybe should have been 10 hours in that contract instead of 4. If Tom Brady struggles, what are we going to say the longer he's gone? Well, that's what happens when you take a hiatus from training camp and you are gone for 2 weeks and you're not getting ready for week one. So it puts more pressure on him for that first game of the season to come out and look like Tom Brady. If he comes out and looks like Tom Brady that night, the training camp absence will be completely forgotten.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I guess we are, let me do this right in my head, 12 days from the Jimmy Garoppolo witching hour. This is going to happen.
Is that a good fantasy name?
Jimmy Garoppolo witching hour? Write it down.
Write it down.
Because I guess the next 3 days of games, if all the quarterbacks that play, the starters that play, emerge unscathed, it looks like Garoppolo will just have to be released on the 30th, right? Is that the way we're currently looking at things entering the biggest preseason week of preseason? Mike?
Here's the question. August 30 is the day the roster's cut to 53.
Right.
However, Jimmy Garoppolo's $24.2 million base salary does not become guaranteed as a practical matter until 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, September 10. So, do they carry him on the 53-man roster while waiting for lightning to strike somewhere else between August 30 and September 10? And I think it was in that window when Teddy Bridgewater's ACL and knee imploded 6 years ago. And consider this. There's a regular season game on Saturday, September 8th. And I don't want to jinx anybody. I'm not going to name names, but there's only 2 starting quarterbacks in that game. If something happens to one of those 2 guys, you got Friday, September 9 to work out a trade. And for Jimmy Garoppolo, who has every reason to wait for lightning to strike as well, because he gets closer to $25 million than the league minimum if someone develops an urgent need for his services, I don't know why they wouldn't wait until September 10. And then the question becomes, would they be desperate enough to get draft pick compensation for Garoppolo that they would actually carry him beyond September 10 and owe him $24.2 million guaranteed for the year, no matter how long they keep him, and just hold on to him through the trade deadline and hope that they could maybe unload him and get something before then. I can't imagine they would do that, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's clear what they're doing. The question is, how committed are they to it? It's like the drive to the fake house out in the Hamptons with Snoopy and Prickly Pete as Costanza's two horses, and the solarium, and the second solarium. How committed are they to pushing this thing to the limit?
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'll just open your notebook. What else is of interest to you before I let you go into your preseason weekend? I mean, what is sticking in your craw? Something that we should know about? Something that's on the radar screen? Make us smarter? Anything like that?
Well, I mean, Watson and Brady have kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room, but
right.
We got a bunch of preseason games, and you circle the spots where quarterback is either new. And the other thing, too, is this new preseason approach.
Yep.
I don't know who's going to play. Like, we used to understand cameo appearance week 1, a little bit longer week 2, half of the game week 3, and then all the starters are gone for week 4. Now we never know. It's a news item for every team. Is your starter going to play? Is he not going to play? I'm fascinated by the Chiefs. I'm fascinated by the post-Tyreek Hill Kansas City offense. The starters are playing a half tomorrow in the game that's going to be on NFL Network against the Commanders, and it's a good game to have on because you can see Patrick Mahomes and company for a half. When you remove the guy who commands extra attention everywhere he goes, how does your offense operate when you're not devoting added resources to trying to neutralize Tyreek Hill? And is Patrick Mahomes getting to the point in his career where when he walks up to the line, he knows just by looking at the defense which guy's going to be open? You already start through your progression before you even have the ball. You can tell based on this look, my first read's not going to be there. Better think about my second. Better think about my third. At some point, he's going to get to that point where he's got a supercomputer in his brain from everything he's seen, and his physical skills will still be good enough that you have the best of both worlds. That accelerates when you don't have a guy like Tyreek Hill, and it's going to be a good test to see where they are because, yeah, they're going to spread the ball around, but you know what? You're not going to have that one guy that's making it easier for guys to pop open because that extra safety isn't going to be lurking to maybe pick the pass off. Well, he will be lurking because he's not going to be chasing Tyreek Hill around.
Well, maybe Sky Moore could be that guy, takes the top off every now and then. Obviously, no one's Tyreek Hill. I get it. But I kind of dig the idea that the diversity, the diversification, that there's many different guys. I mean, MVS and Juju are no slouches, right? And then you've got this Justin Watson kid that's getting a lot of attention. I don't know. I'm thinking the Chiefs are going to wind up being all right.
And MVS has the speed as well. And then there's the possibility, the old addition by subtraction, that Tyreek Hill was being enough of a pain in the butt behind the scenes, as evidenced by his own comments from his It Needed to Be Said podcast about how he was complaining about his lack of touches. I think a lot of receivers were looking at what Cooper Kupp was doing last year, and they were thinking, why don't I get the ball more? I could get those headlines too. I could be on track to break Calvin Johnson's records, and Tyreek Hill got the ball a lot and wanted it more than he was getting it. At a certain point, it skews your offense. If your quarterback is looking too long and too hard at one guy instead of going through his reads, you really do keep the quarterback from being as good as he can be. So maybe the offense will be better. As weird as that is to even think about saying, maybe the overall offense will be better without Tyreek Hill in it.
That's a good one to ask you out the door, Mike Florio. We just mentioned Cooper Kupp, the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champs, opening up on September 8th. And what's your level of concern or how much we should be paying attention to Matthew Stafford's throwing arm? What do you think?
Well, it's weird. Right when it reached a fever pitch a couple of weeks ago and they were bringing in baseball experts to try to figure it out, and there was a real sense they didn't know what was going on. He didn't throw it all in the offseason, had an anti-inflammatory injection, and he still was having issues. And all of a sudden he's fine. So whatever they did, it seems to have worked. But with the Rams, I'm really wondering, because you get to the end of the season and you get defense coordinators who look at the things that embarrass them. And Cooper Kupp's performance embarrassed a lot of people last year. How aggressive will defenses be in taking away Cooper Kupp? And what will the Rams have to pivot to? Is it Allen Robinson? Is it the running game? You know, in the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp early on wasn't doing much. It was going to be Odell Beckham Jr. Day for the LA Rams until the ACL went. And the Bengals were doing a good job of keeping Cooper Kupp from destroying them. I just wonder how much of that playbook translates to this year, and what can the Rams pivot to if Kupp is kept in check and doesn't have the kind of year he had. And a lot of that pressure is going to be on Stafford, just like without Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. If Cooper Kupp is covered, where's the opening for Matthew Stafford to get the football?
Okay. You got a question for him, Chris?
All right, so Mike, so if you were going to be on The Masked Singer, what would your costume be and what song would you sing?
Oh, my God.
I am proud to say I don't know anything about The Masked Singer. I've never watched it.
Well, because you don't have kids that age watching it, right? Your kids are older now, right?
Right. But even then, I hope that it would not be family bonding time watching the Masked Singer. I've just seen clips about it, and some of the clips I've seen were horrifying. So I'm glad that I don't know. And I would be stunned if Tom Brady ever shows up on The Masked Singer, either now or in the future.
Please. I can't believe you traffic in that sort of stuff, Chris. I mean, you waste this man's time. He's kind enough to call in the program. Good Lord.
Yeah, one more minute. It was an extra.
Or you could.
No, it's fine. You know what? It's good. It's good publicity for The Masked Singer, because now I'm thinking, it's FOMO. What am I missing? I can't have an intelligent conversation with people about The Masked Singer if I don't watch it. So maybe I should go watch
Chris,
all the episodes.
Just for you, maybe Brady will show up and his costume is Matt Patricia, so you Patriots fans know that somebody's in charge of the offense that you trust. Chris, how about that? How about that one?
That's good. Yeah.
See, there you go, Mike. Thanks for the call.
All right, great
Always
talking to you.
appreciate
Have a great weekend.
Right back at you. Mike Florio, everybody. Pro Football Talks. Mike Florio.